I'm Wayne Allison. I'm going to spend about the next 5 minutes. I'm going to try to answer two questions. One, what is MPC? And secondly, how do I do healthcare compliance? First, who am I? I am one of the founders of MedPro Comp, Medical Provider Compliance. The software I'll refer to as MPC, and it is a healthcare compliance package that hopefully you'll have a feel for what it does, why you need it, and where it fits in the next 4 or 5 minutes. First, my background is computer science engineering. As undergrad, I have a master's in economics, and I'm a practicing lawyer. I've dealt with healthcare and healthcare facilities and healthcare providers for many years, probably about 20 years of experience with hands-on, including the past few years where the industry has undergone major change and a vigorous shaking. So, explaining what healthcare compliance is and why you need it and what you have to do is, I think, one way answered by explaining the genesis of MPC. It was about middle of 2012, and I was, as one of my clients, managing a healthcare facility. The facility had multiple providers, 20 some odd providers in total, a variety of high-end proceduralists that have both E&M claims and high-end proceduralist claims, facility, diagnostics, the whole smorgasbord of healthcare provision. It occurred to me that the EMR push and meaningful use and all of the regulatory forced mandated changes by the federal government and pushed through the state governments were requiring us to radically change the organization. Far more than just, hey, we're going from paper charts to electronic charts. Far more than just, hey, let's get rid of dictation and go with a speech-to-text solution. This was a material, substantive change that is required, including all of the compliance activities that continue to roll out today in forms of regulations from state and federal governments. So all of this water is surrounding us, and we're trying to figure out how to comply in getting by what I consider a small, medium-sized medical provider. The environment led me to do a bunch of research, and I was amazingly surprised. Not just surprised, fearful. That's the better term. Fear is what drove the whole topic and solution of MPC for medical compliance, because frankly the requirements say you're supposed to, for example, check every employee against 2 federal government exclusion databases. My answer to that question was, what is an exclusion database? I didn't realize we're supposed to check every employee against these. There are about 60,000 people on these lists, by the way, and the federal government says you cannot hire them. If you do business with the government, you can't hire these people. If you do, you can be fined significantly. So you have to check every employee. The OIG recommends you check every employee every month, for goodness sake. I didn't even know what the database was. As well, we were supposed to have a hotline, surprise, surprise, so that all employees know where they would call to anonymously report suspected fraud and abuse. Well, those were the easy ones. I have to keep 6 years of records of every employee and every training program and every compliance activity. If I find myself under review, I have to produce all of this. The reviewers, to make matter worse, come from all angles. They could be state, they could be federal, they can be third-party contracted that are actually operating on a commission basis. So that if they find some particular part of your organization that's out of compliance and put in place a penalty or a fine or a recovery, the third party can get up to 20% as a commission, a bounty to find things wrong with your organization. So, with that environment, not knowing what I needed to do, I surveyed, tried to understand it, and recognized immediately, I am not a big box healthcare organization. I am a small to medium sized fella. How do I do all of this? Because my owners, the physicians, are not going to be interested in hiring a full compliance staff and a full compliance department that I know big box healthcare organizations have. They have an abundance of that. I had to skin the cat by using my existing staff, not getting in the way of operations, and trying to figure out how to do all of that led me to understand specifically what needs to happen to be compliant, which is a key question. How do I be compliant? Well, here's how you be compliant. You be ready for an audit. Because it's not a matter of if you will be audited anymore, it's a matter of when. The only question is who's going to do it. It could be federal, it could be state, it could be commercial contractors. Commercial contractors, Blue Cross, Aetna, and so forth, now under Obamacare, share their data with the federal government and vice versa. So massive data mining is going on. There are a litany of reasons why someone can walk in and put you under review for one of a number of things. So how do you get ready for that? What is it that guy wants to see? Well, there are a number of things. Broadly, all your policies and procedures, everything. They want to know you have them. If you have them, you pass the first step. But that's the easy step. The critical step is they want to know what you did with them. What are your activities? Did you train every employee? Did you every year go through this process? Did you go through this process with all of these policies and procedures and federal and state requirements with all new hires? Great, answer yes. Here's what they ask for. Show me. You simply have to prove it. That's all. Historically, we'd done it the way everybody else had done it since the beginning of time. We'd have lunch and learns. We would have come in 30 minutes early. We'll put the PowerPoint presentation up. We'll put the video in. We'll keep all the sign-in sheets. That ends up in some notebook or a spiral notebook or in someone's drawer, and it's got a coffee stain on it, and you're scrambling for it when the auditor's sitting across the desk saying, show me you did this. That becomes the litmus test. Because if you can answer that question, then you are audit ready. If they want to dig further, they can dig further, but you have to be able to get by that gate immediately. I have it, and I've done something with it, and I have a record of it. I am ready for any kind of review or audit. That includes the question of, have you checked all your employees against the exclusion databases? That includes, do you have an anonymous reporting mechanism? And I have to keep all this for 6 years. So what occurs to me is, I can't do this by myself with my existing staff. I need to go find an answer. So I look for an answer. And there are many answers. There are many answers that are targeting big box healthcare facilities. Not so much for small to medium sized folks. And when I say that, I mean physicians, I mean physical therapists, I mean nursing homes, I mean durable medical equipment shops, I mean anyone who has the ability, the privilege, and the contract of accepting Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE. As well, even if you don't accept government payers and you just do commercial business, you need to understand that the commercial carriers' contracts typically incorporate all these federal regulations, and when you sign the contract, you are attesting that you have complied with all of that. So whether you like it or not, you have likely, if you are in the healthcare business, already attested that you've got everything ready and you are audit ready with all of these components. The reality is you're probably not. I wasn't. It concerned me because it wasn't a matter of if we found ourselves under review. We've been under review. The folks that I work with were under review. They were picked randomly. They were also picked because of data mining. They've been picked because of certain claim types that have been filed, and the federal government imposes a review of certain claim types. There are RAC auditors out there. There are meaningful use attestation auditors out there. We've been hit by every angle. We have been under review every kind of way. And the single litmus test has been, do you have a compliance program, and show me your activities in it. That was the birth of MPC. The genesis was, let me see if I can create a cloud-based system that would do the database checks for me automatically, that would give me my anonymous reporting hotline automatically. Check, check. Those are done. Now, what about my policies and procedures? I've got all kinds of them. I have more than just CMS and Medicaid, and the Medicaid varies by state. We have 50 flavors of them here in the U.S. The federal regulations are the foundation. Medicaid is on top of that. You also have these pesky little federal laws like OSHA, EEOC, discrimination, all Title VII, everything you're supposed to do as an employer, whether you have 1 employee or 100 employees, doesn't matter. All this applies to you. So what are your policies? What are your procedures? And show me what you're doing with them. MPC is a centralized repository, cloud-based, get to it from anywhere. That was one of the goals. How do I make this easy so that my office manager can operate and administer my compliance program without getting in the way of doing my business? The goal, remember, is be audit ready. With MPC as a central repository for everything associated with your compliance program, that's your policies and your procedures, and whether they are videos or PowerPoints or scanned in images, doesn't matter. It holds all forms of media. And critically, you can push these policies to your employees. So, for example, if you have 10 employees, you have a new fraud and abuse policy that's required, you can click, push. Each of those 10 employees are going to receive an email. They're going to have a link. They're going to have a unique ID number. And they're going to click on that link, enter that ID number, and be presented with that material. They can save it, download it, review it, question it, whatever they want. But critically, their action is recorded. It's recorded in what we call the ECR. That is the Electronic Compliance Record, which is the litmus test and the golden piece of MPC. If you're under review, you turn to your ECR, which contains all of your activities. Every employee's database check, every employee's participation in every training program, all new employees' questions that they've got regarding the whole compliance program. You also put non-healthcare stuff up there if you want. It's very flexible. If you have a policy that says don't park on the front row, you can put that in there too. So anything having to do with any employee, compliance, policy, procedure, practice, whether you're reprimanding someone for violating a HIPAA policy, or whether you're simply taking a picture of the physical lock on your machine room door, put it all on MPC. It's all in your ECR. When the auditor shows up, you give it to him. The impression I've learned firsthand is, wow, you've got a lot of stuff in your compliance program, and wow, you have a record of every employee's activity since the beginning of time, since you've been using MPC. In a nutshell, that's the goal of MPC. The other characteristic is that, unlike big box hospitals, small and medium providers have another pesky little issue they deal with. It's called cost. Costs are going up, reimbursements are going down. That's not a surprise. That being said, no small or medium provider wants to pay $10,000 a month or a $5,000 consulting bill to have someone come in and tell you all the things you're doing wrong and leave you a notebook and do your own means to fix it. That's not attractive. Those were the solutions that were out there. MPC is designed and targeted for small and medium providers of all types. Nursing homes, physical therapy, medical providers, dentists, doesn't matter. Works across the board. And it's designed to be affordable. not to get in the way of your business and to allow you the flexibility to put any kind of policy and procedure you want, that you have, that you need, because critically, a dermatologist has a different practice than an ambulatory surgery center. The regulations imposed on a physical therapy organization are different than those imposed on an MRI facility. So one size does not fit all. Critically, one size does not fit all in healthcare compliance. And every organization is different. Hence, MPC is designed to be as flexible as it can be. Secondly, because one size does not fit all, and because everything is unique as far as one provider to the next, MPC allows you to build from a core repository of documents that apply to everyone and add to with very specific things tailored to your practice.